First of all, I want to introduce Ricky Blair. You've seen him there. Ricky Blair is the founder and director of Platform 7, a Los Angeles and London-based life and business coaching consultancy that helps unlock potential in young entrepreneurs and sales professionals, and reveals the kind of truths that are never taught in school. From a young real estate entrepreneur himself, and now to a life coach, business mentor, and my favorite phrase, success therapist. Success therapist. I love that phrase so much. He gives young people the self-belief, skills, and strategies to succeed. And then, of course, some people know James Harris, not as well as Ricky, but James Harris is the star of Bravo's $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. And I've said this multiple times. He's a two-time guest alumni, but he brings his perfect blend of British style and American drive to the show. He and his business partner, David Parnes, specialize in high-end residential real estate in Southern California. No-nonsense approach to closing deals, coupled with their extensive network of high-net-worth international and domestic clients, means that they continue to close deals and set records with a listing portfolio in the billions. With the B, guys, with the B. So if James has something to say about listing houses, generating business, I'm all ears. So listen, guys, welcome here. Thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. The agents have been looking forward to this for some time now. This question is for both of you. We're going to start off with some perspective on 2020. James, I know you've always had tremendous success year over year, and a pandemic didn't stop you. What did you do to stay focused? And then the follow-up, Ricky, what did you do to stay focused on your business in 2020?
So first off, thank you very much for having me. I'm a huge fan of yours, David, and obviously a double huge fan of Ricky's. But, first and foremost, what I did to stay focused was stay relevant. And by staying relevant, I stayed busy. And by staying busy, I stayed consistent. And I think in a year like we had in 2020, you had to think outside of the box and get creative with the way that you branded yourself or you marketed yourself or the way that you stayed busy. Because I know out in Canada, you guys went into proper lockdown for a very long time. And we did for about a month in Los Angeles before real estate became essential. But in the month that it really went down, it was the month of jumping into action. And at that time, it was thinking about, right, how can I stay front and center in front of people? And it was at that time that I took to social media, started doing webinars, fundo seminars, social media on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and getting in front of people like yourselves, because instead of trying to sell real estate, I was just trying to provide value and service to people like yourselves and anybody that wanted to listen, because when you give back, you get back. And so last year was all about giving back in any shape, way, or form that I could. And then the second that we were allowed out of our houses, I went out, obviously observing all of the safety rules and whatnot, and we crushed it. But I think for me in 2020, the biggest and most important thing that I personally did was, instead of looking at COVID as a vacation or a downtime, I looked at COVID as a time to actually set up. I looked at COVID as a time of reflection. How could I grow? How could I better myself? How could I restructure my business? What separates me from everybody else? And this is really where, quite frankly, Ricky comes into it for at least me, because it was at that point that Ricky joined our team as a business coach, if you will. And we kind of sat down and we looked at, right, this is what you've done over the last 5 to 7 years. And maybe everyone out there thinks, hey, you're doing great, but here's where you could go in the next 5 to 7 years if you do this, this, and this. And we can get into that later. So 2020 for me, to summarize, was about restructuring, getting organized, understanding what my strengths and my weaknesses were and still are, playing to my strengths, letting David play to his strengths, and setting ourselves up for the best 2021 we've ever had. And we're on track right now to absolutely crush any year we've ever had. So, you know, I think sometimes you have to take a beat, slow down, and really think about you, where you want to go, where you want to be. And that was my 2020 in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's big talk. Like, you got a $1.5 billion listing portfolio, right? Ricky, same question. Sorry for interrupting, but same question to you. I mean, you did a pivot in 2020, right?
I'm not really sure where I go from an answer like that, but for me, it was a very, very different year. 2020 was a year of change. As you know, I left an industry which was commercial real estate after 20 years. I also left London, which I'd lived in my whole life, and moved to Los Angeles. I think what I took from 2020 was the year of adapting, changing, pivoting. And it's funny, I was listening to a Floyd Mayweather, the boxer's interview the other day. He's got the greatest record of all time. He's never lost a fight, 50-0. And they asked him what was his secret? What separates him from the other great boxers? And his answer was, in every single fight, he's up against a different, unique challenge. And what he can do better than anyone is pivot and adapt and change. And I think that was the biggest takeaway for me in 2020. And I think going into 2021, and I was asked this question the other day, my advice for 2021, every day, every week, every month, the world is changing, everything's new. You've just got to be loose, nimble, adapt and pivot where required.
Love that.
Yeah, we've said that many times, right? Like, the industry, especially in real estate, you have to be like a speedboat. You have to adapt and change really quickly now. Can't be like these big cruise ships taking forever to make a decision. You know, not to name certain brokerages, but changing a font is not relevant, right? That was meant for a laugh. I know it's different on Zoom, but there's a certain...
No, that was solid. That was solid. Nice.
I thought it was good too. I thought that was a good one. Okay, listen, James, I'm looking at you. As mentioned, you guys did okay. And but the thing is, I know you guys put in the work. I know how hard you work, you and David work. And it's not a fluke that you were closing deals, setting records. However, the pandemic did affect some agents. You know, we were talking about this. What can you say to the struggling agent coming out of this lockdown, coming out of or looking at a post-pandemic, industry? You know, an agent who had been struggling before, and now they're coming out of the lockdown. They're going, okay, what do I do to kickstart things? What do I do to get started?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think that the best answer starts with mindset. I think so many agents are like, I got to make money. I got to make money. Go, 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 go. A lot of those agents aren't really thinking about where they're actually going. Right. And so for me, I think even today versus when I first started, I always had a plan and strategy in place. If I was going to go door knocking, I knew exactly which streets I was going to door knock. I knew exactly how many doors I was going to knock. I knew that David would do 100 and I would do 100. I knew that we wouldn't go home until we at least got 1 or 2 solid leads. And I knew exactly what my pitch was going to be. There's a lot of people that go door knocking and just random knock doors, don't really know what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, when they're going to say it. So I think to the agent that's really coming out, your mindset has to be right. You have to be passionate. You have to live it, breathe it, sleep it. And I'll be completely honest. For me, I see 42 participants. I only see 10 people with their camera on. If I were an agent, whether I was established or new, and I was showing up to something like this, I would have my camera on. I would be camera ready, and I would be ready to listen and take advice from people that have done this and are doing well. And I'm not taking away from those that might be showing houses or doing what, but I think it's about showing up. I think it's about being present. I think it's about dressing for success. I think it's about being around successful people. Success breeds success. You're obviously at a great brokerage. You should be using the tools of the brokerage. And I think as a new agent coming into this, you guys need to get together and figure out how you guys can make more money together, because I look at this business as an industry where we can come together and as a unit become more successful instead of going against each other and trying to take a commission from this one or that one. So for me, if you're a new agent, start with the mindset, dress for success, surround yourself around good, solid, successful people that are going to uplift your spirit, make you a better person. And I think at the end of the day, have a plan. have a strategy, know exactly what you're going to do. And then more importantly than anything, we all have a unique selling point, right? The way I do things is going to be very different to the way you guys do things and the next person. So really understand, what is your unique selling point? What separates you from everybody else, right? For me, it's high energy, it's going for it, it's having confidence, it's all of these different things. That might not be for you, which is absolutely okay, but try and understand and figure out what it is that separates you from everybody else, and then use that to your advantage to go out and get more business. And whoever just turned on their camera, thank you. I appreciate
You know what?
that.
James, you took the words out of my mouth. I try and encourage everybody to turn on their cameras in the morning, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. We played that clip last week from Sirhan from the podcast. Remember, he was saying he showed up in a suit and tie when everybody else looked like they weren't wearing pants.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Absolute fact. Well said, James. Well said. Okay. Ricky, you took the words out of my mouth. The GPG was, founded on unique selling propositions. James just reiterated that, doubled down on that. Ricky specifically, though, Ricky has a really interesting story, and I'm super proud to know Ricky for a number of reasons. He had a brokerage that was quite similar to the Greater Property Group. They tended to focus on the mentorship of young and new agents in the industry. Correct, Ricky? We talked about this at length a few times. Now, what did you do to help young professionals, new real estate agents reach their potential? Because you did that, right? What did you do to help them be successful?
We had a mentoring coaching sort of proposition within our business. And for us, my two business partners and I, we were all given an opportunity at a young age. We all left school at 16. We all had mentors that showed an interest in us and literally got us on our pathway in the industry. So I guess it was our way of sort of paying it forward. We wanted to bring in young, hungry, ambitious agents. And I think what we did was, it was a combination of things. Going back to what James said about your own unique selling point, everyone is different and everyone has their own strengths. For us, it was about carving out and honing in on exactly what made each person great and unique. Some were very analytical, some were some were great on the phone, some were good salesmen. Whatever it was that they were great at, we focused on. And the other thing was, we had a mentoring program where we literally, take me as an example. I was a solid agent, but what I was good at was understanding how the game worked. What was the difference between a good agent and a great agent? I had that talk sort of instilled in me. So we implemented that, and we taught that to our guys. And it was just about work ethic. We had a big thing about continually striving. Like, we never, ever, ever, ever stood still. That was a big thing that my business partners and I instilled in them.
Mm-hmm. I gotta jump in very quickly here. Please forgive me, but Ricky is frustratingly humble. Okay, this is a guy, and I'm putting you right on the pedestal and on blast. Ricky took, and I grew up in London, and I watched this firsthand, guys. Ricky did the American dream in Britain, so we're going to call it the British dream for right now. Ricky took a completely unsexy, not really very well-regarded commercial business in London, which in London, real estate is very different, especially commercial, where it's straight up numbers and digits and buildings, nothing sexy about it. And he and his business partners took a completely unsexy business and made it the sexiest business in London that you wanted to become a part of. That is the God's honest truth. Everybody was talking about their company. They had these young, successful agents that the competition probably thought didn't have a leg to stand on. And these boys, literally, we witnessed it, just went like this. And they kept going and they kept going and they kept going until they just dominated half of London, to the point that Collier's, a very big company, came out and said, you guys are too much of a threat to us. You guys have covered too much of a market territory in London. The only way we can keep up with you is by buying you. And he took a bunch of youths, a young group of agents, sold the company and made a massive success of these people. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that to me is like...
James, is this when I turn the camera off?
This is when you write me the check. No, but guys, this is like this is my dream today, and I'm just going to put it out there. This is why we're so different, because Ricky was probably or is the mastermind of that. Then you have the lead salesperson, the lead marketing person, and I think the main reason I love you, Ricky, is, you know, we talk about unique selling points. I'm a salesman, right? That does not necessarily mean that I am the best at business, right? I want to make knee-jerk decisions. I don't know who's a salesman in this room. Salesmen get sold, right?
Yeah.
And I'm loving like a quick decision. I want to make a quick decision, but where you've helped me so much, Ricky, and I have to imagine you did the same for your business, is just allowing me to stop for a beat, think about something, write it out, understand it, understand where it could take me, and then making the decision in 24 hours. And I just think that you just described your company beautifully, but if everyone in this Zoom knew what you really did,
James, I'm going to interrupt you. Firstly, thank you for your kind words, but I think if I'm going to talk about the business in a little bit more detail, I'm not saying this just to appease you, David and Nathan, but what set us apart and what was instilled in me as a kid was it's all about niche. It's all about changing the game. It's all about finding your own lane. And the reason why I love what GPG are doing, and they haven't plugged me to say this, but this is the reality. We changed the industry in central London because we just went different. Wherever everyone else was doing, we went the other way. And every single part of this business I'm seeing from you guys, you're doing exactly the same thing. And listen, a big part of it was giving young agents an opportunity. That was a key component, but the way we behaved, the way we operated, the way we conducted ourselves, everything was different. Anyway. Yeah,
super important. You know, the phrase we always hear, actually, to James's point about our company, is sexy. It's just a sexy brand. It's just, you know, the marketing's sexy. So we're always hear
really is. When I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see one of your bloody podcast segments and there's some mad hip hop song, like, it gets you going. It's like, it's sexy branding, it's sexy logo, it's cool, it's catchy, it's contagious. You want to be a part of it, you know, and that's cool. And like when you started this meeting, like talking about having an NFT, like who the is thinking about that in brokerage? Really though, like, come on. I knew nothing about NFTs 2 weeks ago and now I bought a ton of them. But like, that's the coolest thing, is like, you're innovative, you're thinking forward, right? You're thinking outside of the box, and like, people are going to recognize you, they're going to know you, and they want to be a part of it, period. That's just the reality.
We're going to bring this full circle at the end, kind of what we were talking about, and some things that are like-minded here, and you know, some missions that are aligned here in a minute. But guys, Ricky and James, both of you, what quality do you see in the most successful agents? What quality do you see in the most successful agents?
From my perspective, I think you've got the bread and butter things that most agents will do. Most agents will work hard. Most agents will follow up. Most agents will be efficient. Most agents will get in with their clients and other agents. But the key differentiator for me was always, there was two things actually. One, it was always a positive sign when I would see my agents work, like helping out their colleagues. Like it just kind of gave you an idea as to what they were all about, the person behind the person you were dealing with. But the other thing is, a great agent, in my opinion, you're doing all the right things, but the extra sort of 10%, that magic sauce, is just thinking creatively, like thinking differently, thinking outside the box, adding value to your clients, because at the end of the day, that's what we're in this business to do.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes.
James?
Yes. So it's funny, he said, like, my whole thing in business is being creative and thinking outside of the box, because, right, we have so many agents in this country. I believe 1.6 million, and I'm not sure in Canada how many. So I always think to myself quite deep, why should somebody work with me, right? If I door knock a house, if I get the opportunity to speak to someone, if I meet someone at an open house, whatever it might be, why should they work with me? And you have to ask yourself that repeatedly over and over. And only you can really answer that question. But for me, I know you're going to get hard work. The most important thing to me is being ethical. Okay. And that is huge. I think so many people in this business, because the commissions are so high, think that they have to be unethical, or they have to screw someone over to make the next paycheck, or they have to take a shortcut, or they have to lie, or they have to cheat. There is nothing bigger and better than being more ethical. And there is nothing more rewarding than losing a deal because you were ethical, because it will come back tenfold. And in this business, if you're focused on the short term versus the long term, you are over. This business is about a long-term relationship. It's about building relationships. It's about building trust so that you're in a position 10, 15 years from now where that person that you built trust with has sent you to their friend, who sent you to their friend, who sent you to their friend. But if you break that chain early on and you mistrust someone, you broke that chain, you're not getting that person, and that person. And so for me, this is all about being ethical. As Ricky said, thinking outside of the box, having a plan, being strategic. I do believe in having a mentor, coach, someone that you can bounce ideas off and really work with to better yourself. For me, I have a business partner. I love that idea. I have the Ricky, who's the best to help me structure. And I have a little team now, so I know who I can go to for certain things, because again, we all have strengths and weaknesses, and we're not built and designed to be strong at everything. Play to your strengths, not your weaknesses, build a solid team, and be ethical.
Yeah, fantastic advice. You know, especially if you're going to have longevity in this business, you know, you can identify the people that want to kill the town and move on, you know, typically unethical, you know, these are the guys that you want to stay away from. But if you want longevity in this business, be ethical, you know, to James' point. Okay, you guys brought it up. I think this is a really important segue into the next question, which is the importance of mentorship. Mentorship, coaching, and training in young and new agents. Can you speak on the importance of that? Maybe we'll start with Ricky. Can you speak on that? I mean, it was pivotal to your business, right?
Hold on,
yeah.
I gotta go first. I gotta put it out there. I'm sorry.
No, Ricky first.
I have to. If somebody had told me a year and a half ago, and I'm just being completely blunt here right now. If somebody had told me a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, I needed a mentor or a business coach, I'm not going to lie, I was the person who was like, I don't want to use any rude words as a child here, but I was that person that was like, I'll use hand signals. I don't need that. Like, I got this, I closed this, and I've never had the ego, but it's like, why am I going to change anything if I'm already doing so well? That was my mentality 2 years ago. And I'm just being completely honest, because transparency is key. I have started working, as I said to you guys, in the middle of COVID with a coach, and for all intents and purposes, Ricky. And I'm only going first because I'm actually like smiling, because I'm beaming, because this is how I feel. We wrote out a business plan, okay? And I didn't even tell my business partner, David, okay? Because I wanted to create this plan that he put on me, Ricky, to create and come up with, and wouldn't help me to the sense that he wouldn't do it for me, because I'm the kind of guy that's like, you just do it and I'll look at it. And if we all agree, then yeah, we're good. But he made me sit down and do it. And fast forward, this 40-page business plan is starting to come to life. And I'm saying it because there's things happening in my day-to-day and my business and my marriage and my day-to-day relationships that I never even thought could exist. And already we're in third month of the year. We've just added 2 more people to our team. We've completely restructured. We've completely reorganized. We've cleaned shop. We have a clear idea. We have goals. We have a vision. We know where we're going. We're very much accountable. I sent Ricky a long email last night, as promised, which my job is to write, long bullet points on how everyone's doing on our team. I've become more accountable. I've become a better person. I'm becoming a more successful businessman. I'm growing my team. And if there is one thing, and I've always been into like motivational talks and speaking, but if there's one thing I can recommend today, and I know this is probably awkward for Ricky, but if there's one thing I can recommend is go and find yourself a coach, a mentor, and someone that you can bounce ideas off that's going to make you more successful. It is the best time you can spend on yourself. It's money worth investing. I don't even know how that all works, but it is. And I really couldn't be happier today with where I'm at. So thank you, Ricky. And sorry I decided to go first, but I feel very, very passionate about that right now. So I had to get that off my chest before.
Thank you, James. You can go first. It's a pleasure if you're going to talk about that every time. Listen,
it's the truth, man.
From my perspective, mentoring has been huge. I mean, I left school, like James, I left school at 16. I was obsessed and desperate to succeed and find a way. I was lucky enough to have found what I was looking for. At 17, I found a mentor that literally changed my life. And I've been obsessed by studying success in business, in all sorts of fields. And what I found mind-blowing is the amount of successful people who have mentors. And it's almost like this taboo thing. I mean, in England, if you have a therapist, you don't talk about it. With mentoring, it's just amazing. If you dig under the surface, I think it's something like 80% of the CEOs in America have had a mentor or have a mentor. And then you've got the likes of Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, Oprah Winfrey, you've got, the founders of the Googles, the Amazons, the Apples. Everyone has a mentor. And a big part of, I guess, why I'm bringing Platform 7 to life is it shouldn't just be for the select few, the very fortunate ones that stumble across a mentor. It's a game changer, I feel.
Yeah. Nathan, how much have we spent on coaching and training over the years?
6 figures, if not higher. I mean, but how much has it made us, I guess, is the real question. Right?
Yeah,
I was going to say, don't tell Ricky that. God, my fees are going to go up.
We're old, though. We're old, guys.
Listen, we're old.
It adds up over decades.
It adds up. We're long in the tooth. We're old men now. We're long in the tooth. We say this all the time. We're old men. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
The most successful agents I know in California, in Los Angeles, and I always used to wonder, they all work with somebody. And I used to just think that's not for me. Like, I respect that, but we're just different. And I used to do other things like Tony Robbins or something else along those lines. I used to just think that's not for me. And God, I was so wrong. But it's okay, because I'm very happy and content. And success has to gradually, no, but seriously, it doesn't happen overnight. But like, I'm thinking about decisions now, and that to me, for me personally, guys, I love just I'm a deal junkie. I want to do deals. If my biggest deal, which was 120 million, my goal is like, how do I do 125 million? That's where my head's at. I'm thinking about deals, closing. But now I'm actually thinking about, like, where am I going to be in 10 years from now? And that's a really exciting picture if you sit down and think about it. And everything's relative. I'm not like sitting there like, oh, I'm going to be where Elon Musk is. No, but I'm like, I'm really thinking about where am I going to be, and I'm writing it down and I'm understanding it. And now I actually have a path of how I'm going to get there. And I'm telling every single one of you, I'm going to get there. And if you guys do the same and you're passionate, you'll get there too, period.
Yeah, that's the thing about real estate. It's really tough sometimes, especially for young agents, to think 5 or 10 years out. That's the tough thing. We're always chasing the next deal. So to put a business plan in place is critical. And the nice thing about coaching is it challenges you to think about things differently. Or maybe you've plateaued and you need to be asking yourself different questions that you haven't thought of. That's the importance of of coaching and mentorship, right? Super important. Okay. What's the most important thing for sales professionals and entrepreneurs to focus on in 2021, guys? Both of you.
The most important things to focus on, I would say, are firstly, I don't see a huge difference between 2021 and any other year. I think you've still got to do the fundamentals right. The work, I think, has got to be there. I think if it's taught me two things, one is, as I said earlier on, pivoting. We're all seeing it. We're all experiencing it. Every single week is different. So I just think it's being loose, nimble, flexible, adapting. And the other thing I think is actually away from real estate. If this pandemic, if COVID has shown us all anything or taught us anything, you've got to live for the day. No matter how hard we're working, how much we're enjoying our business, how successful we're doing. I think anything can change at any minute. I just think you've got to be in the now. I think that's what it's taught me anyway.
I agree with that. Absolutely. For me, it's actually taught me to appreciate the smaller things in life and to actually slow down. People are like, wow, things are getting back to normal. And by the way, they are. And I'm working like an absolute dog and I'm loving it. But I think for me, what it taught me is to appreciate what I have instead of just trying to go and get what I don't have. I remember in the height of COVID, where I was at home, my kids were at home, my wife was at home, we were cleaning the bathroom windows and we were sweeping and we were vacuuming and we were cooking and we were cleaning. I kind of miss that now. Like, I want to get back to that moment. It was such a special moment where we were all together. But I think for 2021, for me, it's about slowing down to appreciate the smaller things that I have in life. And I don't mean smaller as in family, because that's the biggest. When I say smaller, it's just appreciate what you have, right? Appreciate everything that you have. Because when we're in this fast-paced business of selling real estate, we move at a fast speed. And we're movers and we're shakers and we're closers and we're focused and we go out, we do this. And then we come home and it's like, oh, I've got to go to bed now and do it all over again tomorrow. Like, slow down and focus on family, focus on friends, focus on things that you enjoy. Take a hobby, go with your hobby, do things that make you happy. And I know that that's not the advice you may want to hear, but that's how I truly feel from the heart, is like, I want to appreciate things to the max, to the fullest. And that's my advice.
Man, that's great advice. And one last question here before we talk about specifically about Platform 7 for a minute, the importance of goal setting. Why is it so important, especially, well, for everybody to set goals, but especially new agents fresh out of school?
I think in any walk of life, you've got to have goals. You've got to know where you're going. I think it's something like 1% of the world population actually know where they want to go in life, whether it be in terms of goals, aspirations, dreams. My business partners and I found that always having targets, whether that be financial targets, the amount of transactions you want to do, it may be a skill or a quality or something you're struggling that you want to work on, or where you want to be in a year from now. You've got to know where you're going the whole time. I think it's one of the probably one of the most important things you can implement, goal setting, for sure.
So I could not agree with you more, Rick. I will say this: if you don't write down a goal, how the hell are you supposed to achieve it? If you don't set a target, how are you supposed to achieve it? For so many years, and I know a lot of you are going to resonate with this, for so many years, if I was working on a deal, and this goes for anything in my life, for so many years, if I was working on a deal, I'd come home to my wife, I'd say, I'm working on this deal, it's not going to happen. And the reason I'd say it's not going to happen was because I had this fear in my way. So that if the deal didn't happen, I'd already said the deal wasn't going to happen, so I didn't disappoint myself. We all do it, okay? You try and put up a wall to protect yourself so that you don't let yourself down. And then I started to learn about manifesting and accepting and learning that the opposite of having fear is having faith. And then hearing fear and faith cannot coexist. And then starting to realize that if I don't believe in myself, who the fuck else is going to believe in me? And so now that mindset has shifted. I believe a deal's going to close. I'm going to close that deal. That deal's going to close next week. I'm going to get that buyer. I'm going to negotiate. Everything I do in my life now is I will, I can, I am, instead of I won't, it's not, and those type of things. And I think if you can go with that mindset and that mentality and believe in yourself, you have to manifest it, you're going to become more successful. And so it starts with setting goals. And I know for me, I probably didn't do it for so long because I was so scared of letting myself down. Well, if I write down that I'm going to do 500 million, shit, what if I do 400? Then I didn't do 100 extra and I look like an asshole. Well, that is the wrong mentality. You have to have big expectations. You have to have big goals. You have to write them down. You have to see it, believe it, envision it, and go get it. And I will end it right there.
Incredible. Yeah, really, really good advice on goal setting. Now, Platform 7, Ricky, can you tell us about the concept of Platform 7? And then we've got an exciting announcement to bring it full circle. Everybody's a little giddy about this, but can you tell us about Platform 7, what it is, why it was founded, and what the main objective is?
So as I said earlier on, mentoring in my career has been huge. when we changed the game with our business, with my agency, a big part of the business was mentoring and coaching. When we sold the company it was about 4 years ago now, we had this reputation as giving young people in business, young entrepreneurs, this mentoring, giving them a shot effectively. And we just noticed that there was more and more demand for mentoring. And so when I moved out to Los Angeles, I decided to sort of build a business around it, which is Platform 7. And it's basically, it's my way of paying it forward. There's demand for it. And it's basically giving people the tools and what it takes to succeed. That is, I mean, I've written a course, I go into agencies and actually teach this course, is literally the key fundamentals. A lot of the things I go through on the course we've covered today: goal setting, manifesting. I mean, manifesting big on the tools and the attributes and the skills that the basic differentiate. I'm gonna bring this back to James as an example. I mean, people will see his success, people will see him on the show, etc. But it's behind the scenes, like what he's, it's not just turning up and selling homes. There's so many things he's doing which is changing the game. The work ethic, doing the right things. I know how big he is with his reputation. The amount of agents I've seen over the years who will literally do a big deal, which will tarnish their reputation in the process. It's the long game here, and I think Platform 7 effectively, it's a mentoring business. You've got to get the foundations right. You've got to get those early bits right. It's like building a house. You want to get the foundations in place, and mentoring is there to give you the platform to basically succeed in business.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And let's just announce it here. We've had multiple discussions over the last few weeks. I've talked to James, I've talked to Ricky, and what we're going to be doing is launching a mentorship program at the Greater Property Group, partnering with Platform 7. Now, we're really excited about this because you can see the success James is having. I mean, the guy, like Ricky, you don't know this, but James and I were talking, I think a week ago or a week and a half ago, something like that. And James was like really excited about what's going on with Ricky is James' coach, essentially, right? His mentor in a way, right? So we're going to be partnering with Platform 7. We're going to be launching a mentorship program at the Greater Property Group. Now, keep in mind, guys, I need you guys to pay close attention to this.
Did we actually forget to get a rap horn for this? Did we actually?
We don't have a rap horn. Sound effects. Anyways,
I'm so excited for you guys. Seriously, I wish you guys knew well, you will in due course. And I hate talking about people I actually prefer talking nicely about people behind their back instead of when they're sitting right here.
I can have it.
You guys are in for such a treat. Just mark my words on that. And I don't know how any of this is working, none of my business. But whatever these boys here, Nathan and David, are working on, I wish this was something the agency were providing to me, quite frankly. And that's truly how I feel. I don't see this in brokerages at all. So and I want to do this, I'm going to set this right now, David. I don't know when you guys start working or how it's going to work, but I would love to meet with your team 3 months after you guys have all met with Ricky and done some work, because I want you guys to get goosebumps that I'm getting now, because I know how much this has helped myself and David. And I want to see how you guys feel 90 days from whenever this whole thing starts. And I'm really excited for all of you. And I really mean that.
Brilliant.
It's awesome. When I say it's, it was eerie, right, Ricky, when we were talking about this, the similarities between the London firm and the GPG. It was eerie. We saw the synergy there.
It is a freak. You're literally replicating what we did over in London, but again, this is gonna make you and Nathan look good, no doubt. But I just want the guys here on this call to appreciate what GPG are doing, the platform you're giving your agents to get them in, give them an opportunity to mentor, coach them, to make them better. That doesn't happen often. I mean, we were unique and a bit of a freak in London, and we only did it because my partners and I experienced that mentoring ourselves. But not many businesses actually give as much of a shit as you guys are. The amount of the platform you're giving them to push on, it's amazing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, well, we're excited to do this. Now, listen, guys, this is really, we need to be very clear about this. First of all, this is an exclusive, a Canadian exclusive. So we are the only brokerage in Canada that will be offering this mentorship training at our brokerage. We'll be the only ones, correct? So that's what we're going to be doing here. Secondly, here's the other point. This is a cap. There's a cap on this. So not everybody can participate here. We're running, there's a limited membership in here on this. So if you want to participate, you're going to have to sidebar with myself or Nathan. Will explain how it works. And we're going to be looking at, I think we said like a May 1st launch date. It's going to be a 3-month run, right?
Correct.
So a 90-day run. Yeah. So we're looking at a May 1st launch. May 1st launch. If you want to get your ducks in a row, if you want to participate in that, please let us know. And then we'll explain how it works, because we're really excited to do this. We think this is, I've looked at the topics. I've looked at kind of the roadmap, generally the broad stroke on it that Ricky sent over. And I got to tell you, man, it, like to James's point, gives you goosebumps. It was topics I never even thought of. Right, James? Like I mean, you're probably thinking the same thing. I was looking at him like,
all I'll say is just you guys wait. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. But by the way, David and Nathan, because I know you'll appreciate this, I've had 2 meetings with my team and Ricky since he met you. And within our 2 hours now, every time he's like, look, guys, I don't want to talk about GPG again, but I'm just going to start telling you about data. I'm like, shut the f up. I've heard it. Sorry. I'm like, we've heard about these guys. We get it. They're great. They're doing great things. Like, we're delighted. Let's move on. So I want you to know he holds you boys in a very high regard. No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
You are referenced a lot as the benchmark for sure.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
and I'm really excited. Like, I don't know who's hungry to get better and more successful in this Zoom, but if you are and you're willing, like I was, and even if you're reserved, try. Let's chat in 3 months. See where your business
Absolutely.
is at.
Oh, man. You guys, can't thank you enough for your time today. Really appreciate it. Santiago says hi, James.
Oh, amazing. He's my boy right there. That's someone else, by the way, another great speaker. Yeah. And it's been so lovely chatting with all of you. Sylvia, I've seen you smiling the whole way through, and Taylor and Crystal and Chris, all of you, you're all awesome. And I think I say this, is it Shubraj? You take the cake for the best background, man. Like that suit and the sun shining through. I mean, you got it all going on. I love it. And Byron and all of you. Manveer, all of you. I love all of you guys. You're all hungry, great people, and I hope I get to come to Canada and hang out with all you guys soon.
Yeah,
thank you very much,
well,
guys.
we're gonna. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ricky. Thank you, James. Really appreciate your time. Feel free to log off. Yeah,
thanks, guys.
Big round of applause. Big round of applause.
We'll see you again, guys. Take care. All the best.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Thanks.